So today I'm giving my styling advice to my alternative fashion crowd. If you've read any of those ladies magazines from the 2000s, you probably remember what I call the fruit system, which basically went, are you a pear shape? Wear these jeans to look smaller. The ideal back then was a small hip and bums, Or, are you an apple? Look more hourglass with a belt or something. It was very much, here is the ideal, which is usually an hourglass. Dress as if you have it. I can go into more detail on this system as it can prove useful in certain situations, but today I want to focus on the idea of dressing to accommodate your body instead of trying to look more hourglass. We're going to look at the idea of yin and yang in terms of your bone structure and your flesh to determine the vibe you give off. This philosophy is credited to Belle Northrup in the 1930s and Grace Morton, then Harriet McJimsey, who all built on each other's work. When we get to McJimsey, we get the categories of dramatic, athletic, classic, gamine, ingenue, and romantic. In a more modern context, we have David Kibbe's image ID system and John Kitchener's essence system. Some people like to use them separately or in tandem with each other as they both come from the same philosophy. However, this dressing to your mixture of yin and yang can apply to pretty much anything visual. For example, I'm going to use the Bellhouse movement. So this is a German art style prolific in the 1920s and 30s and is still relevant today. It focused on simple, clean, geometric lines and this idea of fine art pieces that are easy to mass produce. It's a very yang art movement as it focuses on clean, slick geometrics and often bold, contrasting colours. It bears similarities to other art movements at the time, like Art Deco. So we're going to look at this classic Vasily chair designed by Marcel Breuer in the 1920s, and I'm going to crudely put it over a very Bauhaus-style room. See how it blends in. It's harmonious with its surroundings. We've dressed a very yang room with a yang object. I haven't even put the chair in grayscale and it blends in. Now I'm going to put it in a very yin place. I've chosen a random garden. See how the chair stands out. The flowers and the leaves all blend together in a watercolour sort of way. It really makes the chair look very stark and contrasted. The foliage falls in curves and creates these long curved lines. Even though the chair has a curved edge, it's a very sudden 90-degree angle. It looks very rigid and sharp and geometric compared to the flowers. It just stands out. For an example of a person, here's me in a look and a background that complements my body. It's geometric and contrasting in colour, which matches the contrast not only in my colouring but also within my bone structure and flesh. Here's me in a cute style that doesn't work well as it's not in balance with my personal yin and yang expression. Here's me in a cute style that works better. I feel this will help people who say things like, I'm not cute because when I wear lolita I don't look cute, you have to be X body type to wear it. Which isn't true. I'm considered to have this cuteness about me, but when I don't dress in harmony with my personal body geometry, I can look weird. Once you know your lines, you can dress in any style you want. Disclaimer time. Although I'm using the Kibbe system as a guide, I'm ultimately giving you my opinion and interpretation. For the most accuracy, you can get your image ID from David Kibbe himself. I'm also just looking at dresses really, but you can use makeup, accessories, hair, anything visual on your body to complement your image ID. Using the Kibbe system, we have 5 main types: dramatic, natural, classic, gamine, and romantic. You'll note we've changed athletic from McJimsey system to natural and dropped the ingenue category in Kibbe system. Kitchener keeps the ingenue and actually has more categories, so this is why people like to use the systems together. So beyond the 5 main types, there's sometimes a more yin and more yang version to create, 13 types. David Kibbe over time has gotten rid of some categories such as pure gamine, but I will include all 13 types. Generally speaking, if you lean more yin within a type, you will typically be shorter within your type, with rounder flesh, so a rounded, maybe bigger chest, roundness at the hip or thigh or arm, etc. You will look curvier, not as in plus size, as in you have a bigger waist to hip ratio within your type, for example. They will need to think about emphasizing curves with things like waist emphasis or clothes that accommodate your curves. A yang-leaning person will tend to be taller and have less rounded flesh. They tend to have a more straight up and down look to them compared to others within their type. Straight up and down, less curve emphasis is needed as we're emphasizing your long, straighter lines. Being typically taller, you also tend to take on longer garments to show off your length. Let's start at dramatic. The dramatic category is about being really sharp and elongated. They tend to be tall with a long, narrow, angular bone structure. They tend to have long limbs in proportion to their body, almond eyes and lips on the thinner side. They look quite snatched, I suppose. The eyes and defined cheekbones are quite desirable traits currently. They also tend to have big hands and feet in proportion to their body. Dramatic is the sharpest, most yang of all the types, so the only subtype is soft dramatic. They will be like the dramatic, but will tend to have fuller lips or larger eyes, more fleshy, especially in places like the thighs and upper arms. Dramatics will look great in long garments that show off how long they look proportionally and just height-wise. Also, sharper details like more geometric colours can look nice. Single colour styles such as kuro or shiro or any colour would look nice. Longer dresses would look nice too. Stiffer fabrics that maintain their shape like cotton twill would look better than a more airy chiffon fabric, and a narrower petticoat on a longer dress could really emphasise that long line you have. I think things like wool coats will suit you in terms of the heaviness of the fabric. If you like leather elements in your cords, this could work well as the stiffness of leather matches your intensity. I'm pretty sure you can get leather JSKs in some cases. If anyone can pull that off, it's a dramatic. I think EGA or aristocrat style would look nice if you like gothic, as they tend to feature long monochrome outfits. Soft dramatics will benefit from waist emphasis the most. If you want a print, a bigger print will match your tall, more yang frame. It's very sort of strong and striking, and you benefit from a pattern as bold as you are. Natural. Naturals are the second most yang category. They have blunt and squarish features with a wider bone structure. They can have slightly long limbs for their body and can have square and strong looking shoulders. They tend to look muscular with wider shoulders and smaller hips, hence it being called athletic in other systems. They tend to have more sculpted cheeks and can have a blunt nose. Naturals have a reputation for looking friendly and approachable, so if people are drawn to your friendly face, that could be a sign. The more yang, flamboyant natural will be more angular, their lips might be slightly thinner, snatched cheeks. They will more likely have a more straight up and down body and large hands in proportion to their body. The more yin version is soft natural, who won't have that sharp undercurrent. They'll be more fleshy, especially in the upper arms and thighs, and may have a wider, more blunt nose. They may also have a slight hourglass figure. I believe Kibbe has gotten rid of the pure natural category and focuses on soft or flamboyant now. Naturals look nice in relaxed and flowy sort of styles. Fairly simple styles can look nice too. They tend to be stereotyped into boho style. Lolita isn't typically a drapey fashion, so I think using lighter fabrics like satin that drapes could help, or draping somewhere like a headdress. There are some drapey, more relaxed styles like my dreamy negligee. I would think about some sort of waist emphasis, especially as a soft natural, to highlight your curves. I think a more flowy blouse could look great on naturals things with princess sleeves that have a more relaxed feel compared to a generic standard shirt. A skirt coord with a flowy shirt could look great on you. I think there's an effortlessness that you'd bring. You can make even casual cords look amazing and chic and elevated, and that's an advantage, especially if you're a lifestyle lolita. Adding some sort of relaxed element to a cord will highlight your unique, strong, and friendly and dependable sort of look within your beauty. Classic. Classics to me are blended. They have such a well-blended yin and yang that it gives them a very moderate look. They tend to have a symmetrical look to them. They're not too tall or too short. They don't have prominent features like large eyes. They have moderate limb length and hand size. They're perfectly in the middle. Our soft classic will be a bit more rounded and fleshy as expected. Their hands may be slightly smaller in proportion to them. They may have softer cheeks and lips. They may have an hourglass but not an extreme one, as they're still a classic first and foremost. A dramatic classic has the yang undercurrent, so as expected, a more angular They're still moderate, but maybe with squarer shoulders or squarer hands, and have more of a muscular look to them. Probably as expected, moderate dresses suit the classics. Simple and symmetrical cuts can look very nice. Bodices with the buttons or lacing in the centre complements you as it's symmetrical. I think old school could look amazing, with no print and a little bit of symmetrical lace trim, something that is more simple and clean than the OTT suite era, for example. The sanitary towel headdress is symmetrical headgear compared to a bow on one side, which doesn't complement your balanced features as much. Classics don't need as many accessories to look OTT, so if you are an OTT lover, you can probably get a good effect with less accessories and save a bit of money there. As usual, the more yin version looks great with waist emphasis, and the more yang version can take on sharper elements and doesn't need to worry about waist emphasis as much. Classics think of themselves as boring, but I think there's a very classic, almost old Hollywood nature to their beauty. The Gamine. Gamines are small and angular with delicate looking structure. Gamines are also considered obsolete by Kibbe, so either just soft or flamboyant. And essentially they have the yang bone structure but with a lot of yin, with shorter height and typically bigger eyes and a more delicate look to their bones. Gamine is like haphazard, unblended yin and yang. So they tend to have moderate to small hands, yin with big eyes but yang with thinner lips, can have longer limbs and tapered shoulders. More yang flamboyant gamines will, surprise surprise, be more angular, likely taller and more straightened figure. Shoulders might be more square with long limbs and a more muscular look. More yin gamines tend to have rounder faces, more tapered shoulders. There's broadness like the flamboyant gamine, but more delicate and less square looking. Limbs tend to be shorter and they are prone to looking doll-like or like a pixie. Soft gamines can also feel overweight even when they're not, as they're small with this short and delicate bone structure and have this soft, rounded flesh. Gamines look great in sleek styles with a bit of tailoring and geometric shapes. They're stereotyped as 1920s or mod style. I think the Lolita suit style could look nice, as the angles of the lapels on blazers and the tailoring would suit your angles. Colour block type prints and those asymmetrical hem pirate style Lolita pieces would look nice. For soft gamines, add waist emphasis and close fitting things at the wrist to also help. I think a bib style could look nice, as it's a rounded geometric shape. I feel those more 60s inspired necklines, those more geometric ones, especially with stripes, would look good on gamines. Flamboyant gamines are more likely to pull off the dropped waist or the no waist style than the soft gamines because of their longer length and more straight up and down figure. All gamines work well with a bunch of different patterns and contrasting colours. You might hear the term staccato rhythm a lot for this type. If you want an OTT or decora inspired coord, gamines would need so much maximalism before it looks off on them. Gamines also look great in high necklines, so keep those blouses right up to your neck. Gamines have this doll-like or elf-like nature to them, which could really be brought out in later. Now onto the most yin category in this system, and that's the romantic. Romantics have small and wide and delicate bones and very yin flesh. They have the full cheeks, the lips, the round eyes, everything is just soft. They tend to have small hands in proportion to them and an hourglass figure. As it's the most yin type, the other category is theatrical romantic. They will have sharper bones, a bit more yang in the bones, but still yin flesh. They have a bit of yang in the shoulders or cheeks and have slightly longer limbs than a romantic. As this is the most yin type, people tend to want to be this type. In this case, as Lolita is a very feminine fashion, but that doesn't mean they look their best in every Lolita style. Even within Lolita, there are more yin and more yang styles. A romantic won't pull off the geometric and contrasted styles as well as a gamine, or the aristocrat elongated styles as well as a dramatic. Romantics look great with waist emphasis, to no one's surprise. Lightweight fabrics, rounded details look great. Those tiny classic grandma's curtains prints can look lovely, and I say this as someone who wears grandma's curtains prints. The softer, chiffony, ruffly styles can look great. I would still have some fitted parts, so a fitted wrist instead of a princess sleeve that covers the whole arm, for example. It can be difficult to tell all the differences, so I thought I'd just put a romantic and a soft dramatic side by side. Even though they're both hourglass voluptuous women, Sophia has yang in her defined cheek and more substantial bone structure. Sophia has longer looking limbs for her body. Marilyn looks shorter and wider. She looks like she could be short waisted, whereas Sophia looks longer in the torso proportionally. Sophia is taller, but she also looks taller due to the size of her head in proportion to her body. Marilyn looks very delicate because of her softness, whereas Sophia has that, for lack of a better word, drama. She has a more sort of commanding attention vibe. I want you to take clothing you already like and think of ways to make it more harmonious with you, be it a belt or makeup or a harmonious hair accessory or jewellery or shortening or lengthening something. How can we get a JSK, OP, whatever to look more amazing on you in a coord? Also, you can dress in any substyle. I've shown a few typical outfits, but don't feel limited to these pieces. So what do you think about the Kibbe system? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you have no idea what I was going on about? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching, and go and have fun with fashion. Okay, bye!